Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's so lovely to join you this afternoon. I just really wanted to take a moment today to for us to really settle in with what was 2025. And I'm going to be sharing over the next few weeks a series of 15 to 20 minutes of us coming back to our centers and back to integrating some of what we've experienced in 2025 so we can move forward in 26 with a lot more groundedness and clarity, because I want everyone to feel all grounded and clear. So I am just going to have a look at this. This is the first time I've used YouTube Live, so it's very exciting for me to use YouTube Live. So thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for your patience. So what I'd love to do is start now with week one. So why you can't enter 2026 without integrating 2025. So thank you so much for being here. And if your mind has been busy and your body has been tired, and if clarity has felt so far away, you are not alone. So today we're going to be exploring something that we're often rarely taught, and that is you can't enter into a new year with clarity until you've completed and integrated the emotional load of the one before it. So often we don't talk about what emotional loads are like, and I'm going to explore that in the next 20 minutes or so. So I'm going to cover why clarity disappears, what 2025 may have taken from your system, how your nervous system shapes your decisions, and a few practices you can use today and some practices you can do on your own. And at the end, if you're open to it, I'll share a 3-day retreat here in Mexico to support deeper integration. So let's begin. So for years, I lived a life that looked exactly how it should look: a good career in law, stable, consistent, competent. But internally, my mind was loud, my system was exhausted, and no matter how much I planned or worked harder, the clarity didn't come. So I thought I had a thinking problem, but really I had a nervous system problem. I didn't realize how much unprocessed stress, emotional load, and in survival mode I was carrying from year to year, and how it blocked my ability to hear myself. So I used to go to yoga a few times a week, and that absolutely helped. But it wasn't until I created a complete extended break from work in the form of an extended overseas vacation that I realized how much emotional pressure had built up in my body and how I didn't really allow myself to deeply relax. So my relaxed version of me was going into the shops, getting groceries, and having a quick bite to eat with friends, and squeezing in other engagements, cleaning the house, and you name it. I was doing everything, and that was my relaxed time. So, but it wasn't until this overseas extended vacation that I realized what I was really missing in was to be in connection with myself. So I began to integrate the body and mind exhaustion of overwork and the emotional loads I've been carrying. So slowly, clarity emerged with breath, journaling, and connecting to my body, which then allowed the deep insight to evolve and emerge. So, what I want to share with you is key one for today. And this is that clarity isn't mental, it's physiological. So, we're trained to solve confusion with thinking, with lists, strategies, and analysis. But clarity is a nervous system state. So, when your system is overloaded, overstimulated, or running on survival mode, your mind gets noisy. But when your system softens, clarity arises without effort. So most people, as you would know, just as an example, don't get clarity at their desk when they're focused, all the time on their computers. They get it when they get up out of their chair, they go for a walk, they go and get a takeaway latte, my favorite soy latte. They go and get takeaway lattes. They might be in the shower, they might be just taking a breath or doing some exercise or moving around, or they're going to the park and having a relax. And it's really when their nervous system relaxes like this and it's not so uptight, it's everything opens. And that's where we get our best insights. And you know this, we just need to be reminded of it most of the time. And for example, one of my clients who is a really busy, brilliant C-suite executive, and I've been working with her for quite some time, and she works in a very male-dominated industry. And she comes to me, and we talk a lot about, the issues that she's facing in her work, and where we get insights and different perspectives, and it really shines a light on things, and it's very, very useful. But do you know that the sessions that impact her the most are the ones where I guide her in tuning into her body and her body wisdom. So, and all sorts of incredible insights come up from that. It's incredible to watch this process as we go in and be intuitively guided by her body. Everything, new solutions, things that we wouldn't have even thought of. And, I think we're both fairly intelligent women. So it's really unbelievable. So I'm a massive, massive advocate of getting in touch with ourselves. So I want to share with you the first short somatic practice for today. And then I'll be sharing a couple more practices that you can take away and use. And the more you use them, the better they get, as you know. So just take a moment and try this with me. I'd love you to put either both hands on your belly or one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. And so close your eyes and just take a nice breath into the belly. Expanding your belly for breath for 4. Holding and exhaling for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. And again, expanding the belly, breath in, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Do you feel that? That's your mind getting just a little bit quieter. And if you practice this, it's very simple. A few times a day, you will see how it affects your mental and emotional states in the moment and afterwards. Very simple, but very powerful. That's the first exercise I want to share before I move on to key 2. So, key 2 is completion creates clarity. So, there are so many reasons why people feel stuck. And there's a lot of emotional weight that we carry from year to year, and there can be just a lot of emotional weight just from 2025, which we've taken on consciously or unconsciously. A lot of the time it's unconscious. What we do need to know is that on the 1st of January, our nervous system just doesn't magically reset itself. What we need is actually space and time out to integrate. So we need to emotionally digest. We need to complete our stress cycles. We need a nervous system downshifting, and we need to release the year from our body. So without the integration, people will repeat the same patterns. You and I will. So we need to take time out. And this is what I'm encouraging. And over the next few weeks of me sharing a couple of these tools, I'd love you to employ them and let me know how they actually go in your life. So many of the retreats that I hold, people tell me that, I didn't know how exhausted I was until I actually stopped. And this is the power that happens when we take space out to actually complete. So I'd love you to close your eyes just for a second and take some deep belly breaths, nice deep belly breaths in. Holding and gently releasing. And again, nice deep breath in. Holding and gently releasing. And just continuing with your eyes closed and just continuing with gentle big belly breaths in and gentle releasing out. With your eyes closed, ask, where am I still holding emotional weight of 2025? And just gently ask. And remember, we're not trying to change anything. We're just being curious and open. So where in my body am I holding emotional weight of 2025? And you just gently scan from the head, the neck, the shoulders, the torso, the belly, down through the legs, and just scanning up and down and just noticing any areas that feel scrunchy or tight, or they might have particular colors or sounds, and just notice. And then you can take some time with the areas that are, attracting your attention the most, and just taking some breaths in there. And just asking this area, continuing with your eyes closed, what am I holding still? What am I holding still? And just allowing space for that answer. So continuing to breathe in and breathing out, and just allowing space. Do this practice a few times. Breathing in and gently releasing. And you might want to go back over this video, and then you can, practice that again. It's really powerful when you do this over time. And now I just want to share with you key 3. And that is that you cannot create 2026 from a survival state. So fear, overthinking, and indecision all come from an overloaded system. So you can't build a new chapter from a nervous system that is bracing itself for something, is exhausted, or feeling unsupported. Supported expands capacity, and rest restores clarity, and stillness reveals truth. I've seen this over and over again. People think they need more time, more planning, more thinking, and what they actually need is support, regulation, and space. So after clients create space for themselves, truly create space from their devices, their phones, the TV, and that they get in nature with guided practices, that's when things really start to shift and change. I see this all the time in my retreats, which is essentially why I keep running them. And what I'd like to share with you is a third somatic practice and journaling exercise now. And so if you place one hand on your heart, and then the other hand on your back, and so you're holding your back like around your heart area if you can. If your arms allow it, you might want to try both. And so that you're feeling that support from your heart and from your back. And just taking a breath in there and just feeling what that feels like with your hands at your back and your front. And then you repeat to yourself, I have you, I'm listening. And with your eyes closed, breathing in, I have you, and I'm listening. And see how that feels in your body when you say that to yourself, when you hold yourself and feel yourself. See what it feels like. And in this space, once you do that a few times, ask, what decisions am I making from a survival state? What decisions am I making from a survival state? And just allow whatever it is and whatever wisdom that wants to emerge to come out. What decisions am I making from a survival state? And so you might want to sit with this in a meditation. You might want to take out a pen and you might want to journal this. And I really strongly suggest that you come back to this a few times over the next few weeks so that you can really understand what decisions you've made in 2025 from a survival state and what you want to integrate and not repeat in 2026. This is a really powerful exercise. So take your time with this one and come back to it. Okay, so I'd just like to recap the key learnings from our short-term time together today. So the first key learning is that clarity isn't a thinking issue, it's a nervous system state. So when your nervous system is overloaded and your mind gets loud, when your nervous system softens, clarity arrives naturally. The second is 2025 is still sitting in your body. So your system remembers what your mind tries to move past: tension, exhaustion, and emotional residue. Thirdly, integration creates capacity. So when you digest the emotional load of the year, space returns. And here is where stability, direction, and self-trust grow. And you can't create 2026 from a survival state. Overthinking, looping, hesitation, these are the signs your system is holding too much, not that you're doing something wrong. Fourthly, your body always knows before your mind does. So the breath, the belly, and the heart. So when you're tuning in, like some of the practices I just shared with you, it helps you to navigate and listen to what your body already knows. And fifthly, support changes everything. So when you're held, your nervous system can settle. When it settles, clarity comes forward without forcing. And a few minutes of somatic presence shifts your whole state. So practices like I shared, the 4-6 breath, the belly check-ins, the heart hands, recalibrate your system towards calm and clarity. And finally, your next chapter begins with integration, not acceleration. So you don't need to push into 2026. You need space to complete 2025. So take a breath, let your system settle, and just notice how it feels to be a little clearer now than when you arrived here today. And as promised, if this conversation is resonating with you, I'm hosting a 3-day clarity and restorative retreat here in Mexico. It contains a Temescal, somatic and nervous system grounding, energy healing, intuitive guidance, stillness, nature, rest. It's a small group. We do include the powerful medicines of Temescal and also ayahuasca to really understand and explore our unconscious in a really safe and supported way. Integration circles and, of course, nourishing food. And it's an incredible jungle retreat center with its own private cenote. So you can, because you can't enter 2026 until you integrate 2025. So if your system is asking for space, rest, or clarity, you're welcome to join. And so the details and applications are with retreatswithsunny.com, retreatswithsunny.com. And one of the past participants have said, I left feeling more grounded and clear than I have in years. And that's what I aim to do with every retreat that I hold. So if you decide to join us within 48 hours, you'll also get a before and after bonus, which is an individual session with me, which is worth over $400. So I would love you to join. And I would like just to finish today with placing one hand on your heart and just asking yourself today, what would change if I gave myself these regular practices throughout each day? If I committed myself to these times. And if I also gave myself even more space, like a 3-day reset, what would it feel like? So if something softens inside, that is your yes. So thank you for being here. And if you know that you don't want to carry 2025 into another year, the retreat is a space for deep integration and recalibration. So I hope that you'll find that the tools I shared with you are useful, and you can join me next week for part 2 of this series, which is rebuilding self-trust before the new year begins. And this is where I'll discuss somatic intelligence, boundaries, and listening to yourself again. So please join me next week for week 2, and I'll be doing 4 in this series to really lead you up to making 2026 the best year for you yet. So thank you so much for joining me, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye.